What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. You couldn't have picked a better time to join us. Today I'm going to be talking about how to save money before your vacation and during your vacation. Everyone wants the best bang for their buck, and I got you covered. Press pause on this video, grab a snack, get a pen and paper, come on back, and let's get right into the video. Alright, before I get into how to save money, the first thing that I want to tell you guys is that money is convenient. It's very important to understand that the more you spend on certain things, you'll get more conveniences. Example being, instead of having to wait for an airport shuttle, which would be free if you're staying at that certain hotel, you could be in an Uber like that, but then it's going to cost you $30–40 because most people or most Ubers have a surge on those airport pickups. So that's just something to keep in mind. Money is convenience, and when you are trying to cut corners, you do have to give up some of your conveniences, but it's up to you to say, you know, this will work for me, this doesn't work for me, and go from there. Alright, so let's start with saving money before your trip. So you already know the basics. Eat at home, don't spend too much money eating out, don't buy new clothes like that, yada yada yada. But what about some of the things that you probably didn't really think of or didn't know that you had access to? For example, if you have a credit card, use your cash back credit cards when you make purchases. So that way you're getting some kind of return on your purchases and you can use that money towards your vacation. Another thing, I have my list here so I'll be looking down, guys. The other thing would be to evaluate your subscriptions or memberships. Say for instance, like me, I have a gym membership, but if I wanted to save a little bit of money, I can actually suspend that account for a couple months, and then once my trip is over and I paid for everything or saved whatever money that I needed, I can go back to it. Different things like that. If you have other accounts like the JustFab or the Athletics or something like that, set alarms on your phone so that you won't forget to skip the month or whatever you may do, because those will automatically charge you if you don't respond to their setup that they have. Another thing would be to get up earlier. When you start getting up earlier, you have more time to do things at home. So instead of driving to work, because remember, money is convenience, instead of using that gas, you could probably take public transportation. Public transportation, however, does take longer, so if you get up earlier, then it will work for you. Same with breakfast. Some people are mad dashing out of the house and they don't have time to do this, they don't have time to do that, they didn't have time to pick up breakfast, and you're always picking up breakfast outside the house and spending extra cash. So that's something that you can either prep the night before or get up a little bit earlier to make. Another couple things is to keep yourself busy. I know for one, like on the weekends, I don't do well with just sitting at home not doing anything. I have to be moving, engaging, and doing something. So if you can find an activity at home, do that. You know, whether it be arts and crafts, maybe you have some laundry, some chores that you want to get done, maybe there's some binge watching that you wanted to do or some shows you wanted to catch up on, you can do that, of course. I personally will probably pack up and go to the park, and just to be outside and feeling like I'm doing something but be out of the house and keeping it free. So just cut your costs as much as you can as far as that goes. And then of course, you have to look at some of the apps and stuff that will save you money. So people prefer like Ibotta. I like Ibotta. When you go grocery shopping, you get the cash back, but I'd rather just use a credit card because it's not so specific to a product. It's just if you shopped at this store, you can get cash back on whatever because you shopped at this store, versus cash back on a specific item from a specific store and you have to take pictures from the receipt. I just find it to be a little bit easier. The other thing is I like to keep planning over and over and over in my mind a trip. It gets me excited, it gets me pumped, it keeps me focused on my goal. So for instance, I actually find great pleasure, because I do like to shop, in making wish lists online. So I'll go to forever21.com and just make a wish list and then put it down. I don't really even like buy half the stuff. I'm just like, that's cute, that's cute, that's cute, okay, you know. And sometimes that'll be inspiration for you to pack for your own trip. So just do all of your laundry and then you can start putting together, oh, this looks good with this looks good with that, you know, that kind of thing. And it'll keep you busy and you won't be at the mall spending money that you don't have to spend, unless you're saving to spend, you know, a good chunk of change on those clothes. Another way that you can save money before your trip is when you're purchasing your trip. So for example, I really enjoy using Kayak and Skyscanner, but like I said, money is convenience and some of those things you have to give up. So for instance, I actually did, for the Museum of Ice Cream video, I got a round trip ticket through American Airlines from Kayak for $91 round trip. And I mean, most people to travel to Miami, you gotta come out of pocket for that. So that wasn't bad. However, they did not allow me to bring a carry-on that would go in the overhead bin. They only said will allow me to take a carry-on that would fit under the seat. So that's something to keep in mind. You also get the last boarding group, and the majority of the seats that were assigned were obviously going to be middle seats. But like I said, when you travel on a budget, you did give up some of those conveniences that you may prefer. Another airline that I freaking love is Southwest, because 2 bags fly free. So for my girls who can't pack light, Southwest might be your airline. And I love that. And then, but with the Kayak, back to Kayak, with American Airlines, you can still bring a bag, but you have to check it, and it is $25 to check 1 bag. So those are just some, you know, ups and downs that you have to kind of consider. And when you book through Kayak and Skyscanner, be sure, oh my gosh, be sure to read the fine print so that you don't show up at the airport like, what do you mean I can't put this in the overhead bin, or anything like that, and it'll just be smooth sailing for you. Another one that I love as far as activities go is Groupon. So example, when we were in Miami, we wanted to do the jet skis, but we went on a day where the beach was having some problems. There's like dangerous wildlife or sea life in there, and something else about high tide. So nobody was doing jet skis that day or anything like that. But the day before, we did try to get a quote, you know, just to kind of see what was up. And the guy says, yeah, you could get, you know, was it 30 minutes, something like that, for like $110 or something like that. And we found that exact same place on Groupon, and you got 2 rentals. Was it, I think it was 1 rental, and you got it, the chairs to go with, the lounge chairs to go with it. Anyway, it was a bundle package, a little bit more than we were originally quoted, but for what you got, it did come out to be less. So those are just some things that you can kind of weigh. So I definitely love Groupon. And then also, when it came to transportation, everybody knows that like Ubers and hotspots, especially like in Miami, they're gonna cost you. And I remember when I was booking this trip, I didn't want to stay on this trip because it was gonna be $200, $300, $400, $500 or whatever. So I ended up staying over by the airport, away from everything, where it would be a little bit less, but there was a free airport shuttle. So with an airport shuttle, we ended up waiting for what felt like an eternity for the bus to show up. I also ran after like 5 different Holiday Inn Express buses, and I was like, hey, and they weren't, none of them were going to the one that I was going to. So with that, I would have done a little, had I known, I would have done a little bit better research to find hotels that are next to each other, just so that I can have more than one option when it comes to shuttles. And I mean, if they ask for your reservation or something, just be like, oh, I'm meeting a friend. I don't condone lying, but this one time, we're trying to get to where we're trying to get to. Anyway, so by the time we got to the shuttle, it was free. Had I taken the Uber, it would have been $40. So I waited because I wanted it to be free. And then we would take that same shuttle back to the airport, and we would take the public transportation to Miami Beach, which for 2 people was round trip $9. Whereas if you were to take an Uber all the way down to Miami Beach, you would be in the $50-something just to get there. So those are some things that you kind of have to weigh in. You do lose a little bit of your convenience. We still were waiting on that shuttle for like what felt like an eternity, because they came once an hour on the hour, but then with traffic it would put them behind the hour a little bit more. So that wasn't fun. But yeah, the other thing is Yelp. I love a good Yelp. So when you go out to eat, sometimes Yelp will have like free appetizer, or if you check in, you get this amount off of your bill and that kind of thing. So those are some things to think about as well. And then also just kind of ask yourself, you know, where is it that you're wanting to cut corners and where is it that you're not? Because some people prefer to splurge on travel expenses. They want it to be the most comfortable thing ever, and they just went to go relax. They're not really trying to do any activities. Some people want to cut the corners on all their travel expenses, and they want to spend the money on the activities, on walking around the city and that kind of thing. So just kind of, you know, go from there on what it is that you're wanting and not wanting to cut corners on, because this is all subjective and what you feel comfortable with and what will work for you. Okay, Well, this brings us to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do my best to go out there and try it all firsthand so that I can come back and give you guys valid, tried and true information. I did get my passport, by the way, last week. So international trips will be coming up. I haven't quite decided exactly where we're gonna go, but we're gonna go somewhere with water. I know that much. I am so glad you took the time to watch this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment below some tips that I may have overlooked that you want to share. I believe that sharing is caring. So go ahead and comment something cool. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.